Hey guys, and welcome back. In this episode of our Ivy Farmhouse, Luke is going to show you how to repaint a trellis, and I'm going to show you guys around our front porch and how we have it decorated for the summer.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of our Ivy Farmhouse. One of the first projects that we're going to tackle is our trellis. This is a trellis that my wife and I bought probably 6 or 7 years ago at a Tractor Supply. As you can see, it's had better days. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some sanding on it and refinish it. We're going to straighten it up a little bit and clean up the wood. Just a couple of tips to cover ahead of time. As far as sanding for a project like this goes, you don't really want to use pads, or no matter what grit, you don't want to use the pads because the pads are going to get tore up when you start getting into the rougher sections of the wood. For example, we have a cat scratch on the back where one of our outdoor cats decided to use it for a scratching post. What that's going to do is just rip this pad to shreds, and it's actually going to tear up your wood. So we're not going to use those. Now, the electric sander is always a nice option. This is one of the basic models right here, collects dust. But the issue you're going to have with an electric sander is it's not going to do well once you get off the face and into the lattice portion. It's actually going to vibrate, and it's probably going to cause more distress to your lattice joints than you really want. So we're going to put that away. What we are going to use is the standard just sheets of sandpaper. Now you can buy packets of this. They make small packets that have the varying different grits in them. This is just what we happen to have in the shop, so I'm just going to go with it. 150 is going to be a little fine, but 80 grit would be more preferable for a project like this. But again, this is just what I had in the office. So you can go into like Home Depot or Lowe's and you can buy kits that come with 80, 100, 120, and 150. Those work perfect for projects like this because we're not going to need a lot. It's just going to take a lot of elbow grease. Now what we're going to do when we get done with it, we're going to follow up with a good coat of Kills. For those of y'all that don't know, Kills is a good blocker. It's a good base coat for a lot of things. So once I get it painted, you're not going to see a lot of color differences from underlying wood or stains, things like that. Because this has had some wisteria growing on it, we're going to pull all that off and get that taken care of. Our final coat that we're going to go with is a nice Rust-Oleum satin protective enamel. This is a roughly 2 coats job, so it's going to take about 2 cans of paint. But like I said, our first coat's going to be Kills, so we have that nice even look. And we're going to follow up with Rust-Oleum. That is not a high gloss because we wanted it to match our Ivy Farmhouse. And we're going to follow up from there. And now another good tool that you're going to want to have beforehand for something like this is going to be your sawhorses. They're reasonably cheap when you buy them at like Home Depot or Lowe's. These are just a galvanized steel sawhorse. You don't have to have a high weight capacity or anything crazy like that. But it's going to give you a nice work surface. You'll be able to lay your project over on them. You're not down on the ground. You're not trying to do everything with it all up in here in your face. That'll help you out a lot. So we're going to shoot a couple of follow-up videos and we'll tie it all together and let y'all see the final product when we're done. Thank you. So when we're sanding, we're not going for a really fine, smooth sanding. Bring the camera on in and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Keep coming. So this is a little smoother than I wanted because we're using the 150, not the 80. But since we're going with the rustic farmhouse look on our Ivy Farmhouse, we don't want it ultra smooth. We still want some of the wood grain left in it. And when we're done sanding, that aerosol can paint that we use will bond real good to it, and it'll still have that nice rustic look we're looking for. So a good tip with sanding, when you're sanding a wood grain, you want to go with the grain. It's generally less resistance and it causes less scarring on the wood, so you're going to get better finish out of the product. Now, with this particular project, we may not sand in between coats, but it's usually a good idea that even when you're brush painting, whether you're aerosol painting or brush painting, you actually go in between coats, and that's where the sanding pads come in handy. Those are really good for in between coats because you're not looking to take off a heavy amount of material. You're looking just to rough it up so that way your next coat of paint bonds with the previous coat of paint really well. It prevents it from flaking real easy or peeling. A lot of latex paints that are sprayed on in homes these days, they're not roughing up the product first, they're just spraying it on a door and whatnot, and then later on, a couple of years down the road, you'll notice the paint's peeling, you know, or if you stick a adhesive tape to it, then when you go to pull the adhesive tape off, the paint peels off with it. So sand in between coats, a nice light sand, and use a good heavy sand, getting the smooth finish you want before you paint on your wood product. Make sure you're going with the grain, all right? Okay, so now we've completed our sanding step and we're ready to apply paint. One of the things you need to consider when you apply paint, just like if you were sanding, inside, right? So for sanding inside, we need to wear a mask or have proper ventilation and a mask, but outside, we're fine. You know, just keep in mind your spray distance as noted on the directions for your specific brand of paint, type of paint. Kills is recommended at 12 inches. So we're going to spray paint the top first because we will make sure that it's a good even coat on there, because the top is going to be those continuously exposed surfaces. Make sure you give it a good vigorous shake. There's marble inside of every can that helps you break up the contents inside the can and mix evenly. Most cans recommend at least a minute of shake time. When you're spraying a top surface, it's okay to coat it heavily. We're not so much worried about gravitational run in the paint. No one will even see it. We just want to make sure it has a good even coat to protect it from the weather and the elements. Also, a good idea while you're painting outside is to make sure what your surroundings look like. So that way, the dust and things that are blowing off as you're painting, what paint is missing, isn't landing on your favorite car or motorcycle or whatever. It's just blowing out into the air. That's perfectly fine. All right, so we'll resume this after we get done painting with the prime coat, and we're going to start coloring. All right, guys, so we've just finished with our base coat of Kills. We're going to go with Rust-Oleum Satin Protective Enamel. Rust-Oleum is a good product. They've made their name in outdoor paint, so that's kind of the direction we went. Plus, we went with something that's not specialized, so that way if we need a little bit more paint, we can just pick it up wherever, as long as we're picking up the same finish, same exact like satin protective enamel, it'll blend and it'll be fine. But again, make sure that you shake it the recommended amount of time. Make sure that you read the label that tells you, how many inches to be away. Again, it's an approximate. You don't have to go, oh, pull out your tape measure and go 6 inches. Okay, I'm good. Just kind of guess at it and go. Make sure that if you're indoors, you're wearing the proper mask. Also, it's not a bad idea to wear gloves, like latex gloves when you're spray painting. That way your hands don't look like this. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started applying this color, and we'll catch up with you guys when we're finished. All right, guys, so we're finishing up on the color. We're getting ready to put the project here in place. We'll give it about an hour. Recommended drying time, I think, is a little longer, but since we're going to be setting it outside, all we're going to do is we're going to take it, set it in place. I'll probably put some stakes down to hold it in place, and it can dry. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll put our wisteria on the side of it, We only have it on one side right now. You'll see that when we get done. We might get another plant to go on the other side, but the wisteria will look real nice this fall once it's grown across and everything looks good.
Alright guys, so I am getting ready to create a little arrangement of potted plants for my porch. I'm going to be using this container. I specifically chose plants that do well in shade. So I have some caladium, which is really pretty. And then I have, this is a 4-inch ground cover, a juca maybe. This is some creeping Jenny. And then some more ground cover called bugleweed. And I just thought the flowers were really pretty, so we're going to go ahead and put some soil in our pot and get these potted up for the front porch. And so here is our little plant arrangement. I'm going to water these in and they'll be ready to go by the front porch.
Okay, so now that we finally let it dry a little bit, we've come back, we're going to put it in its final place. But as you can see, its final place is a little off. So what you want to do is you want to take a shovel like this and you want to dig in around the feet where they're going to go on the ground, so that way you don't have this tilt. You know, if you have a speed square, it's really nice, but it's not necessarily a requirement. Just so long as it looks good to you when you're done with it, that's all that matters. There are some things to consider before placing your trellis. What you want to consider is flower bed. We are going to come back in a later episode and we're going to redo these flower beds. So you want to make sure that it's out of the way, but it's not so far out of the way that it's its own thing, you know, looking out in the middle of nowhere. So once we get it set, we're gonna come back in about 24 hours. We're gonna let the paint dry real good. A good way, rule of thumb for that is if you can't smell the paint, then it's no longer an issue, because you don't want to try and put your wisteria or whatever plant you've chosen that's going to climb on your trellis. You don't want to put it right on there when it still smells like paint, because the toxins and stuff can be harmful to some species of plants that you may be planning to put there, and it wouldn't be very helpful. You're putting your brand new plant over here and you kill it by accident. All right guys, so we're going to get started with this. We'll catch back up with you when we're done. All right, so as you can see, we've got it set. It's not perfect. The steps are out a little bit wider than the top, so it kind of has a little bow to it, but that's perfectly fine because it otherwise matches up. And I spoke with the wife and she's perfectly happy with it, so that's what really matters. But so we got it dug in. Everything's good and sturdy. It's a little bit shaky, but that's fine, and it will settle some more once the weather and whatnot gets to it. And we're going to put our wisteria back on it tomorrow, and hopefully in the next coming weeks we're actually going to do a front porch video and do some gardening around the front flower bed, and you guys will get to see that. Hope y'all tune in and watch us on YouTube for our next video, and thanks for watching.
Alright guys, so here's a look at our trellis with the wisteria next to it. It should look really gorgeous in just a few months once that wisteria has had a chance to grow over the side of the trellis. another look at our small front porch. We do have other porches on the house, but this is just the smallest porch that we have. I hung up a lavender wreath on our front door. We also have a picture of the Divine Mercy that is part of our Catholic faith, so I put that there in the window beside the front door. Down here is an old pitcher and water basin that I just loved, so we put that by the front door. And then I have my welcome sign along with a lantern that we used to have at our old house, but I decided just to place it there. And then finally we have our little container of shade-loving plants, and that is our small little front porch. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!